Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon again, Brooklyn. My name is Pastor Gilman Rose. I am the Director of Faith-Based and Clergy Initiative for the Brooklyn Borough President, and here as a strong advocate against gun violence in our communities. And we believe that all black lives do matter.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
it is testament today, all right?
Yes, yes.
It is testament today that as we look behind of us, we can see the problem in front of us. And even though my back is turned towards all of the different, just nondescriptive names, you can see that black lives across New York City, across this country, have been taken for so many years, and we want to thank God that now the attention is being brought to bear, that every one of those individuals have a particular name, they have a family, there was some place that they slept, there are people that love them, and so these are all individuals or family. We don't throw anyone away in our communities. And so today, on behalf of the Borough President and every single organization and individual standing here today, yes. Mothers who have lost their children to gun violence, who have went silently for many years, crying their own tears, yes. are now able to come to this community, to our wider community, to stand up and say that all our children's lives matter, and therefore we must recognize the fact that we are in a crisis in New York City. And so before we begin, we are going to have a moment of silence, and then we're going to open up with invocation with a word of prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to stand here on today, to be here in the land of the living. We ask that we invoke your spirit into this place and have your way on today. We ask that you continue to bless those that are leaders, that are trying to help this community. We ask, God, that you look over each and every family member that's lost a member, God. And God, we ask that this particular gathering that we're having today will not return back void, but it will accomplish that which it was set forth to do. We thank you right now. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And so we stand in solidarity again with all who were here today. And we're just, again, grateful that everyone has joined us. So as you can see, there's a mix of young men, there's a mix of mothers, there's a mix of fathers, grandmothers, sons, and daughters. We are all in this together. I'm going to now have Jackie Adam Rowe from Harlem's Mother Safe to come forward to give a few words.
First, let me say to our hard-working borough president, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for shining the light on what's happening in our city and our state today with our kids dying every second by gun violence. Thank you, Eric. Let me say, we've been meeting and talking and meeting and conference calls, and this one on this conference call and that one on that conference call. But what came out of these conference calls? Absolutely, I don't see anything coming out. So today we stand here because our Borough President Eric Adams is sick and tired of being sick and tired of all these conference calls and nothing is happening. Well, today something is happening, y'all. One, we're going to start calling for the federal government, our legislators, to stop these flow of guns from coming into our community and getting into the hands, illegal guns, getting into the hands of our children. And not only our children, getting in the hands of people that want to kill each other. Two, we're going to stop playing the blame game. We're going to start taking back our kids and taking back our communities, take back our streets. Know who your kids are with. Pay attention to your kids. We might not, and I have to say it, we might not, some of us might not care about the police because they have did their fair share. But we care about our kids in our community, and we have to work with them. We have to chastise them, but we got to work with them. This is our community. These are our children. We must stop this violence. We must get together, all elected officials in all 5 boroughs. Harlem Mother Save is in 5 boroughs. We want all elected officials to put their egos aside and start talking and combat this problem. We're going to have to stop letting our kids kill each other. Where is the money? The money is being put in these organizations. Where's these organizations? What is ceasefire doing? What is the interrupters doing? They're not doing enough. So I'm going to call them out today. Interrupters, interrupt some of this gun violence. Ceasefire, do your job, and some of you are. But it's not good enough for some of you. If everybody get together and do their job, they get millions of dollars. I can't see no more money going into no ceasefire or interrupters if the spike of shootings are going up like they are. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I lost 2 kids. It took Eric. Eric is going citywide with this issue. We just begun. You see all these mothers, we don't just live in Brooklyn. We don't just live in Bronx. We don't just live in Manhattan. We don't just live in Staten Island. We live everywhere, and this problem is out of control. Black lives matter when our kids get killed. Black lives don't only matter when the police kill us. Black lives matter when our kids get killed. So community, get outraged. Protest against these guns. Protest against this violence. Protest, because Black lives matter.
Thank you so much. Now we'll have the Deputy Borough President, Chaplain Ingrid Lewis-Martin.
Thank you, Borough President Eric Adams, for calling this important meeting today. As Jackie reiterated, Black Lives Matter, and it matters in a very profound and significant way. We have to be the gatekeepers of our community. We cannot point the finger and blame others for what we are doing wrong. You know who are carrying these guns. Whether or not the federal government passes those long-awaited laws that should have been passed decades ago, it's no excuse. You know if your children has a gun in the house, take the gun away, turn the gun in. We cannot afford to allow our kids to kill each other in the streets like animals. We are not. We are proud people. We know better. We can do better. We must do better. Our young people are killing each other with no care. It's inexcusable. We have to work in partnership. We have to work together. We have to make sure that what is wrong becomes right. Black lives matter. My life matter, your life matter. We can't go back to the 80s. So I'm calling on parents. I'm calling on young people. I'm calling on all people of color to understand this. We cannot blame others for what's going on in our communities, not at this point. We have to take responsibility and we have to take ownership. We must correct what is being done that's wrong. We look at the police department, we yell and we scream about the police. Where's the outrage? A brother was walking down the street with his 6-year-old daughter. Where's the outrage? I'm outraged. Black lives matter. We have to do what's right for each other. No excuses. Excuses are the tools of the incompetent. We are not incompetent. Black lives matter.
That's right.
Her name is Chaplain Ingrid Lewis-Martin, Deputy Borough President of Brooklyn. Lewis. Yes. Thank you. Now, one of the things that we would say when we were out there, we would say a chant that says, whose streets? And the response would be, our streets. Whose streets?
Our street.
Whose streets?
Our street.
This is our streets. We have to take over and take back our streets. And we can't allow criminal elements in our community to go unchecked. The next speaker is Mike Tucker from Lay the Guns Down.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to say thank you to the Borough President for doing this. This was so important. I stand here today before the world and say that I'm saddened. I'm saddened because for the last couple of weeks, people have been in the streets saying Black Lives Matter. They have shined the light on injustice in America on people of color. The world is watching, and I'm saddened because we have brothers and sisters that's running through the streets, killing each other.
Yep.
It has to stop. Black Lives Matter. This brother that's standing right here to the left of me, sat down. We had a meeting with the mayor. So we wanted to fund the police department. How do you say defund the police department but you're running amok in the streets? Yep. You can't do it. People are dying. These mothers and fathers that's standing behind me, this hat is for you. What about my child? This is all I hear constantly. What about my child? Does my child matter? I say yes. I say today that there's a new day in New York. There's a new day in the 5 boroughs. Gun violence will not be tolerated no more. Y'all heard it before, but this time y'all will see a new day. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike Tucker, Lay the Guns Down. Lay the guns down. Now. Now we're going to have one of our young people come to us, Joshua George from the Flatbush Leadership Academy. And he's one of the young men who have been out there, helping the community. And he has his colleagues with him. As you can see, that the shoes represent people who have died. But the people that you see behind us, these young men, these are people, young men who are living, who wants to make a difference. And so we recognize them today. So Joshua, where's Joshua? Come on.
Thank you for your honor, Mr. Gil and Rose. I'd just like to say gun violence is not only in New York, it's not only in Brooklyn, but it's statewide, it is worldwide, right? Here's where you gotta learn. You gotta learn how, Black Lives Matter. How Black Lives matter if we out here as our own blood and skin killing each other. Y'all want to say defund the police, do this, do that, but y'all running amok, shooting people. Like 2 weeks ago, there was an 11-year-old boy that got shot in front of his own house. How you want to fund the police if an 11-year-old boy is getting shot? You can't do that. Your life matter, my life matter. As a youth, speaking out the truth, you gotta understand, Black lives matter, all lives matter. All lives matter, all lives cannot matter till Black lives matter. I'm tired of these white people, and I'm tired of these racist people talking about some all lives matter. How all lives matter can't Black lives matter? If you're watching this, I want all the audience to say Black Lives Matter. Say it. Black Lives Matter. This has been going on for too many decades, too many years. Too long. I'm tired of it. You could tell you could see the racism in their eyes. And it's not only the white people, it's your own blood and skin. It's your own skin color that's being racist. You gotta look, you can look through their eyes. You gotta speak out to your own color first before you wanted to speak out to the higher ups. I'm calling on Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, Jamani Williams, and all the other colored people that's in the government right now, and to get our voices heard. You want to know how to get your voices heard? Do the census. Vote. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joshua. And now we'll have one of the mothers who have lost their children to gun violence on the streets of Brooklyn, Natasha Christopher, who will represent all of the mothers who are here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natasha Christopher. I am here with my mother's support group. I'm here with Alice. I'm here with Gwen. Oh, thank you. I'm here with Gwendolyn. I'm here with Nadine. I'm here with Pamela. I'm here with Marie and the next Marie. And I'm here with Robert. Robert lost 2 parents to gun violence. 2 parents he lost to gun violence. Pamela also lost 2 sons. Jackie Rowe also lost 2 sons. I'm here to say I am heartbroken. I am sick and tired of this. Yes. But we keep saying Black Lives Matter, right? But Black lives have to start mattering to Black people. I am going to say it again. Black lives has to start mattering to Black people. This is my son, Akil Christopher. My son was shot on June 27th. My son will then survive for 14 days. And on Friday, which will be July 10th, it's also the day that my son died. I should have never had to bury my child the day that I gave birth to him. I am so sick and tired of our communities bleeding. When will enough be enough? I am so sick of this. I am tired of this. I am sick of having conversations with parents who continue to cry over their children. I have other kids, and I'm scared that this could happen again. What are we going to do? I'm saying to you, don't be like me. I didn't get involved and become an activist until my son died. But you don't have to be like me. You can do something now.
Yes, get involved.
Just like how you march and you get angry when these young kids continue to die in our community. I say this, our community belongs to us. And blood is on the hands of all those who knew something and did nothing. When did we start being afraid of the gang members? When did we allow them to take over our communities? Let me tell you something. I have kids, and let me tell you something. I check phones, I check book bags, I empty drawers, because I need to know what's going on in my children's life. I am not my children's friend. I am doing parenting. And some of these parents have become their children's friend. And again, please, Black lives have to start mattering to Black people. Amen. And it doesn't matter to us, else we will not be standing here. Thank you.
So powerful, so potent. Before we have a Brooklyn Borough President, I'll have Anthony Beckford from Black Lives Matter come and speak.
I just first want to say thank you to Eric for bringing this out and spotlighting it. Thank you to Pastor Monrose. Thank you to Ingrid and all the mothers and all the youth here to stand for this issue. Because it is true. When we say Black Lives Matter, we mean all Black lives matter. When we were out there marching, and I have to call the media on this, it's not just off of one narrative. It's off of multiple narratives that affect us. When it comes to police violence, when it comes to housing, healthcare, and also when it comes to gun violence in our communities. We have been putting out the call for the longest time. And I've had people tell me, where is Black Lives Matter when this happens? We're out here. We're just not out here wearing shirts all day. We're in our communities, making sure that we handle the violence that happens on a day-to-day basis. We're on the front lines, not only putting our lives in jeopardy when it comes to the police department, but we're doing it also with these gangs. Because many of them, as I call them, are the agents of the ideology of white supremacy, because they're doing the job of the system by destroying their people. We will not be silent on these matters. And any group that fails to highlight this, I challenge them to become better and actually fight against this violence in our communities. Because I truly support defunding of the police in order to put the funds into our communities so that we can get the access and adequate access to the resources we need to make sure that we can stop this before, so that we don't have to provide a cure for it. We must provide mentorship for these youth. We must stop this destructive mentality and conditioning that their parents have as well. Because I've seen it and I've had to call it out many a times, where parents do become the friends of their children instead of being parents to their children. I'm a single father. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I raised her to be the strongest leader that there is, even at her age. And I'll be damned if anyone tries to take my child's life away from me or tries to disrupt my child's life to make her take another's life. When we stand together as black people, we must not stand as neighborhoods. We must stand as a community. There is no borders when it comes to our lives. There is no division when it comes to our lives. We are all affected by this violence. And those who remain silent are complicit to this violence. And your silence will no longer be accepted. Because when we say black lives, again, we mean all black lives. And I am calling on the Cure Violence groups to not be reactive, but proactive. Do not wait to file your funding, but do it before the funding starts, as groups like God Squad does, and many other groups in our communities. I'm calling on all the so-called gangsters out there. If you're truly gangster, you will protect the life of your people. You want to represent colors? Represent your melanin. You want to represent a flag? Represent the flag of your people. You want to represent a block? First stop the racist landlord from taking your block. I challenge them all to not only lay down the guns, but to come together as one people. I challenge them all to not only to cease fire, but I also challenge them to help rebuild their communities. What you're doing today is a direct disrespect to your people and to your elders. And we're watching, and we're not going to remain silent, because we're taking back our communities. And we're starting today. Black Lives Matter.
Thank you so much, Anthony, and the Black Lives Matter president here in the borough of Brooklyn, who was the advocate to get the sign wrote in front of the building. It is only fitting that we have this conversation here on the steps of the oldest governmental building in Brooklyn. Just as we wrote Black Lives Matter Boulevard on Girolamo Street, we want to give a clear representation of how urgent this is. And to my parents who live a life of endless pain, the years that go from when their children were taken to the moment of now. The pain does not dissipate. It remains as intense as the first time someone knocked on the door and say, your child was lost to gunfire. And out of all the doors I knocked on in my life as a police officer and a governmental official, I have not heard one parent feel any less pain based on where the bullet came from. None of them stated that as long as it wasn't a cop, as long as it wasn't a gangbanger, they felt the pain. And when I close my eyes and I hear the loud cry of no, no, tell me it's not true, it is the same loud cry if it's Eric Gardner's parent or if it's the parent of one of these young people, mothers that are here today. And so that's why Jackie Rowe has been consistent over the years to talk about the significance of this. So when I say, and I hear, say the name of Breonna Taylor, we also should say the name of Justin Hackley. When I hear, say the name of Amadou Diallo, we should also say the name of Pierre-Paul Jean-Paul Jr. When I hear, say the name of Amadou Diallo, we should also say the name of Jermaine Height. When I hear, say the name of Zongo, we should also hear, say the name of Sierra Glenn, Robert Barnes, Rohan Levy. We should be saying their names at the same time because it doesn't differentiate, because the narrative must be clear. Think about this. 101 people were shot in a 7-day period. Look at this. Black and brown. 101 people were shot in a 7-day period. Look at the ethnicities. Not one white. This is one of the most diverse cities in America. Yet the victims of 101 shootings were black and brown. 75% black. That is unimaginable. And the response was deafening from the black community, but it was also deafening from the white community. Where's corporate America? Where is the plan? We see one shooting of an assault rifle in the suburban counties, and we see a national movement to ban assault rifles. And we should. And we should, because every child's life should matter to us all. That's right. But you cannot see gun violence in the black and brown community of this proportion, and yet there is no federal, state, or city movement to ban the real crises in America, and that's handguns. The problem is the victims of handguns are black and brown. We've come up with this belief of normality of violence in our community. But it's not normal. These mothers lost their babies. These are not just photos. These are memories placed in a coffin that will never have their full contribution to what they were supposed to give to this globe. We had a 6-year-old holding on to her dad's hand, being shot and killed. That baby will never be the same. Never be the same. This violence is so intense that we've normalized it. And that's why we're here. Because we're saying We are never going to adjust to the abnormality of taking the life of a child at this young age. We're raising our voice, but we're going to do something else. We're going to utilize social media. We're going to put out real videos to show mothers how to do what this mother stated, how to search your child's room, how to look in their book bags, how to look at their phone. If they're wearing red every day, all day, then darn it, red is not their favorite color. They may be in the Bloods. We're going to go and spot check what they're doing on the street. Go see who they're hanging out with. Call the parents of the children your children are hanging out with and find out what type of parent is that parent. How are they holding their children accountable? We're going to have real conversations on, are drugs being sold in your home? Look at your child's eyes. Look at their hands. Start to play the role of the basic principles of parenting again. We've allowed our children to take over the community, and they're looking for us to be the adults and parents that we're supposed to be. And oftentimes, the child that didn't get the right parenting is not the one that becomes the victim. No, the ones who got the right parenting became the victims of the violence of those who did not get it. So we're going to give real instructions on what parents can do every day. Because this is a constant. This is not a one-time conversation at the living room table. You have to inspect what you expect. You must trust, but you must verify based on your actions. And then we're going to call a gang summit. We're going to reach out to all the shooters. And we're going to tell them to come in the room and sit down and have real conversations about this violence. Young man shot on Dean Street, assassinated. He posted on social media, I have a job, please don't murder me. They murdered him. We're going to bring these members in the room and engage in real talk with them to talk about this issue of violence. And we're going to partner with our CMS, all of these organizations who are on the front line of dealing with retaliatory shootings, which are some of the highest levels of shootings when people go out and they carry out this violence. And then we want to build a system with our hospitals and our police departments. I'm hearing too often when the CMS members try to go to a hospital to prevent the retaliatory shootings, the hospital personnel don't allow them to talk to the family members who are there, who are angry. That the police department don't communicate with them. We have a disjointed system to fight a jointed crisis of gun violence. We need to connect that entire system and have it operate together so we have one mission of dealing with the violence. Right now, it doesn't exist. And we must change that. We're also going to pull in our young people. Their voices must be heard. And that's why it was important for us to have a young man talk in a real way. And the reason many of you will find it difficult to find what's the right message and comment, because you're hearing all of this pain. But we're here today to say we're going to turn pain into purpose. We're going to use the loss of the lives of our babies. The most unnatural part of life is for a parent to bury their child. There is no word in our vocabulary that talks about a parent losing a child. We know when a child loses a mother, they're orphan. When a spouse loses a loved one, they're a widower or widow. But you cannot find a definition when a parent loses a child because it's an abnormal behavior. We've normalized that abnormal behavior. And we are not going to allow people to tell us we can't have justice without safety. There is no safety without justice, and no justice without safety. We are not going to allow people to sexualize us and state we can't have real, tangible police reform and have real, tangible citizen reform to behave the proper way. This is the partnership that we're going to develop. And we're going to sit down with our precinct commanders, our chiefs, and demand that they have a formidable plan to deal with gun violence. I cannot help but to believe that if 101 people were killed in other communities, that this would be tolerated. This would not be tolerated. And that's the purpose of this visual. In the front, we named the street and said on that street, Black Lives Matter. On these steps, we are naming the people and their ethnicity and saying Black Lives Matter. From the front of this building to the back of this building, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter yesterday, Black Lives Matter today, Black Lives Matter tomorrow. Black Lives Matter. Open to any questions if there are any. I think we said it all. Yes. I'm going to re-communicate my concerns to the police commissioner that how we properly use the anti-crime unit, we needed a revamping of the unit. And sometimes in order to build something right, you have to dismantle it. There were too many young officers. There were too many officers who were not responding in a respectful manner. We were using the old street crime mindset, but I believe that you have to have the element of certainty, which is a blue and white police vehicle to fight crime, and you need an element of uncertainty. Because if bad guys that carry guns believe that the only person or law enforcement they need to look out for are those who are in blue and white, that is not a proper method of good policing. But you have to have the right officers assigned to street crime, assigned to plain clothes. I believe we had 2 younger officers. We need to show a uniform of clothing that clearly identifies you as a police officer. We need to have more supervision, and the unit should be controlled within the precinct boundaries, not citywide. Within the precinct boundaries, the precinct commander is held accountable and responsible for the actions of his officers. Hold on. We're going to produce the video. The number one, social media is extremely powerful, and we're going to produce the video in the next few days. The first video will be out in probably 2 or 3 days. Our team is working on it. The second video should be out early next week, and it's going to be a clear, descriptive video to walk parents through how to look inside their homes if their loved ones is carrying a weapon, signs of drug uses, sign of what's in your home that should raise a question in a conversation. We believe it is not right only to tell parents they need to do more when in fact many of them don't understand what more is, and we want to break it down. So within the next 2 weeks, there will be 2 series of videos that my office is going to use. We're going to reach out to all of our notable influencers, our rappers, our celebrities, Brother Jeffrey Wright just partnered with us on another issue that we got 21,000 or probably higher number of views. We're going to reach out to the sports athlete, the Barclays Center, the Nets. We're going to reach out to all those who have followers to put this out so that we can attack this problem in the social media sphere. Right now, we are glamorizing gang and shootings on Facebook, Instagram, and all of these other social media outlets. We're saying, no, let's use this to show the power of preventing this violence. Our chiefs, our commissioners, and the mayor need to do is to open the book and get on the same page. Right now, in a state of uncertainty, fear, and chaos, our leadership must have a unified voice. And we should not have tweets in the middle of the night after a shooting, something in contrast to what the mayor or something in contrast to what the commissioner. Right now, the city of New York is saying we need clarity of leadership. And the personal opinions and feelings should not get in the way of the overall message and theme. I concur with how we disbanded the unit. As I just indicated, I believe that you need to use all the mechanisms of policing to go after a moving target of violence. And violence is a moving target. Some young people hide their guns under their mattress. Others have community guns that they hide under a dumpster that they can go to and retrieve, and a whole community of bad people use it. Others would give it to a young person that's too young to carry. So we need to be flexible enough to address the moving target of violence. And I think much of this violence has to do with the lack of services, the lack of focusing on our young people like we ought to. As I walk the streets during the fireworks conversation, the number of young people between the ages of 18 and 22 that are doing nothing at all. They are stuck in a home with 2 and 3 generations, and people say, well, can't they go in their backyard or terraces? They don't have any darn terraces or backyard. And so we need to address the SYEP issue, the closing of senior centers, the pools that are closed, the alternative that we need to give these young people. I think when you add all of this up, you're seeing the response from it and the byproduct of it. Yes, clearly, the last time we had over 100 shootings in a 7-day period was in 1993. I policed during those times. And what I'm seeing different from now and here, in the 93s, we were dealing with real crack. We were in the middle of a crack war. And that caused the numbers to spike, a lot of the shootings. I believe now we are in the middle of an abandonment war. We've abandoned the children who are carrying guns, the victims of shootings, who are not getting the real services. And so many people think we could just react with policing. No, we need a proactive response to address this problem, and that is what Anthony Beckford, Jackie Rowe Adams, and others are saying. This is not just a police problem. Crack war was different from what we're seeing on the street now. We have abandoned a large population of people. Thank you very much.